Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Joy News. Today we're live on DSTV channel 421, Gold TV channel 125. Across all our social media handles, we are Joy News on TV. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, Organised Labour and the Minority Caucus in Parliament hit the streets to protest the sale of 60% stake in SSNIT Hotels to Rock City Hotel, owned by the Food and Agric Minister Brian Echampong.
We heard that very disappointing statement from the SSNIT board chair. That is not what we were expecting to hear. We expected to hear clearly that they have aborted this detrimental, inimical, obnoxious, unconscionable transaction. That's what we wanted to hear.
We are live on the grounds to engage with protesters. Also in this bulletin, farmers warn food prices, especially tomatoes, will continue to increase as the Agric Ministry's intervention comes too late, even as President Akufo-Addo pushes for peace in Ukraine to alleviate impact on food prices.
Yeah, 4,200, 4,500, but this year, the fund toast 7,500, 7,800. Oberton baby, you know, the 7,000, we are knowing 4,000, not 3,000, actually free.
Meanwhile, Agric Minister Brian Echampong summoned by Parliament over the rising cost of food prices in the market. Also in this bulletin, indefinite strike by CTAC proceeds in full force as teachers express anger over the failure of the Fair Wages and Salary Commission to commit to their new conditions of service. My name is Faustina Safo. It's a pleasure doing this with you. Take a seat. Be my guest. Thanks for choosing us. Now, the Ghana Police Service is investigating circumstances surrounding the death of two persons in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region. The two incidents were recorded early today at the Wa East Education Service Office and the Wa Model GHS School. In a statement, the Ghana Police Service assured the public, especially residents of Wa, to remain calm as the police work to get those involved arrested. Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam joins us live from Wa with more. You're on the grounds, Rafiq. What do we know about these murders?
The Wa municipality woke up to hear the death of these two night security men in Wa here. And then these two security men, their locations varies. One at Kontar and the other one at Wa Model School, which is about 1,500 meters away from Kontar. And so what we know is that the first incident, the people woke up to see this night security man stationed at the satellite office of the GS office at Kontar. He was alleged to have been slaughtered around the veranda of where he works as a night security man. So the policemen came to the scene, and then after that did all the necessary investigations, preliminary investigations, I believe, and then before was sent to the morgue. It was there that we were. Then we heard another incident about another security man who was alleged to have been murdered at War Model Basic School. So when we got there, we couldn't see the body, but the information that we gleaned on from school authorities indicated that when they came, they couldn't see this night security man in the person of Sedu Tarson. So they did a search at the school, and they believe that they saw a particular spot that they believe that somehow a human could be buried in that particular place. And also, they are also suspecting that the alleged security man, the security man could also have been murdered, could also have been buried around that area. So that is the situation in the Wa municipality. And the people say that they are living in fear. Some are wondering what are the issue of this suspected ritual killings of security men a couple of years ago.
Thank you so much, Rafika, Upper West Regional Correspondent, joining us there with details of this murder. The Ghana Police Service says they are on this beat and they're investigating the matter. Well, let's do some other stories now, because hundreds of Ghanaians have poured onto the streets of Accra, singing patriotic songs to demand an immediate halt in the sale of majority stake in SSNIT's 4 hotels to Rock City Hotel, owned by the Minister of Agriculture, Brian Echampong. Now, the aggrieved protesters say they will push until the deal is completely off the table. Maxwell Agwagwa is on the ground. He joins us live with more. Maxwell, where are you right now? Because we know we started the protest at Labadi Beach Resort. On your screens now are live visuals from the protest. We'll work the lines to get Maxwell Agwagwa. Unfortunately, our connection is bad at this time. But let's do some other stories, because some farmers say they will continue to increase food prices, particularly tomatoes, until August, as the Agriculture Ministry's intervention to mitigate the escalating prices came too late. Now, the delay in assisting farmers produce more has left consumers bearing the brunt of the hikes, impacting households and individual budgets. Well, Semefak Pesu paints a picture of the situation at Malata Market.
Consumers and vendors alike have noticed a significant increase in the cost of tomatoes. Just a few days ago, you could buy 4 pieces of tomatoes for 10 Ghana cedis and 2 pieces for 5 Ghana cedis. Today, the market price has changed, with the least price being 20 Ghana cedis for 4 smaller pieces. Vendors at the Malam market report that a box of tomatoes is now selling for between 6,000 to 7,000 Ghana cedis. They describe this year's surge in prices as outrageous.
Getting to 35 years this year, dear, is too much. And so si boy dia 4,200, 4,500, but this year you found to 7,500, 7,800. Obeton baby no, odi 7,000 na koto we are no nya 4,000, not 3,000 actually free. And na buy no so I say at least some bremo. Na mon kan bibi mfa mo e bia fu ane ade na ma enoma no koso si tomatoes na ye disisi ano efie kroma ya ade no kra ne boy de nchen bokina de na eba no sisi awe Ghana and toast efi kroma ya ade no ne boy de nchen bokina no, but this year no e bin sida bokina e betwa to kra me fa 6,500 me ton wi me 4,200 every blessing dey and say me ko fa no me ko yi mobile money ansa me fa we me tin me fa 7,200.
Many vendors have reported a decrease in sales volume as consumers are buying less due to the higher prices. The prices have been attributed to several factors, from transportation costs to inflation to seasonal inconsistencies.
120 cedis, 40 cedis. 4. Ani pantani atonusu. Ti se be say. 20 cedis. Those no mo de free. Omo si Côte d'Ivoire. Nti sefa no mo se sakotono. Nti no mo se abanisa.
My market you to here. We say me 200 cedis. We 100 cedis. We 40 cedis. We 20. Besides say nipa do saying when bet me aton to 100 cedis ansa no anu aduane. We ton to 100 cedis. We to moko saying. We to nya do saying nam saying.
Ba san say na nso na entono. Ono so ka ho. Kan so to a ya Ghana for ntam Burkina for maka say omu de no sano na e de na ba. But this end na mantem. It's man yes ha. Tam so sa. So don mu se don banzo say nyam do mem no so a no matum kese. Na ya ye ton so ka ho. Because you gonna start in there na say abotari ya nsi abotari. E na say jami kita miska mi na meto. Se mi kotore bom kokra e fa ho. Mi an makoto ma ade.
Vendors are seeking government intervention to stabilize the prices of essential inputs. They also hope for better infrastructure support to reduce transportation costs.
They say the entos of Jumedia say, Crawford Betocranti, Muntimito, Obiaya, and also Kototi Mantus, Vicentos no boy, the friend of Crano Johnny, the Sentos, and I say Kakai. And see a strap by this uncle Betty Mamba say, and come, ye, a binding yet to send Toso for to send ye enough. Ye bina, the ba may tall Ghana, and can ye be Ghana, and Betty my boy, and can Tosu knew Nanka Hadi and Napa, Naki yet, Naki and Yeton, take a boy. Send ye, a bino for board, near Betome aboard near Toa, near Casa.
Well, in a related development, President Akufo-Addo is advocating for peace in Ukraine, emphasizing that resolving the conflict is crucial to stabilizing food trade and easing economic pressures caused by the war's disruption of supply chains.
Ripple effects of the Russia-Ukraine conflict have reached far and wide, disrupting global trade, destabilizing markets, and exacerbating economic hardships for millions and millions of people. The African continent has been particularly hard hit. Our economies, already vulnerable and struggling to recover from the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, have faced additional strains due to this conflict. The blockade of the Black Sea has led to severe shortages and skyrocketing food prices, which have precipitated a food security crisis across Africa, as many nations rely heavily on these imports to feed their populations. The cost of living has surged, and the specter of hunger and malnutrition looms large over our most vulnerable populations. In the face of such widespread suffering, it is imperative that we come together to chart a path towards peace. This summit offers a crucial platform for dialogue, enabling us to address the complexities of this conflict and work collaboratively towards a resolution.
Meanwhile, the Agric and Cocoa Affairs Committee has summoned the Sector Minister, Brian Echampong, to brief the House on government's intervention to deal with the soaring food prices. Here's Deputy Ranking on the committee, Dr. Godfred Sedu.
Fortunately, this has been realized by the committee, and the chairman has invited the Minister of Agri to appear before the committee. I'm told that a meeting is being set up for next week. Now, if this meeting comes off, we will have an official briefing on what exactly has been happening, what can still happen, and we as a committee, how we'll be able to help the system deal with these challenges. But as it stands now, trust me, it doesn't look good.
While the Agric Minister, Brian Echampong, remains silent on this issue, we've been working the lines to try to get to him. And once we get a response, we'll bring it to you. Let's do some other stories now, because the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana say they will lay down their tools until the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission addresses their demands. Well, the teachers declared an indefinite strike last Friday over government's delays in implementing the National Labour Commission's arbitral award orders and negotiated service conditions, while the Fair Wages and Salary Commission has raised reservation over the claims of CTAC, adding that it is still carrying out further engagements with CTAC on the matter. But President of CTAC, Prince Obeng, says there is no turning back. He joins us live with more on this. Now, you've been engaged in the Fair Wages and Salary Commission. What are some of the key demands you put on the table, which they have refused to listen to? You'd have to position rightly for me so that I could hear you and unmute your mic whilst we work the lines to get back to him. Residents of Domra, a farming community in the Ahafo Southwest District of the Ashanti region, are asking authorities to desist from giving out any permits for artisanal mining of their farmlands. The indigents recently drove out some miners who claimed to have been granted permission by traditional authorities to prospect for gold in the area. Love FM's Erastus Asaredonko was in the community. He found this report.
Fed some of the worst forms of galamsey in the country. All major rivers and streams like the Oda and Ofin no longer support agriculture, the major occupation of the people. In the Ahafo Southwest District, towns like Kunso display the grim impact of illegal artisanal mining. But neighboring community, Domra, holds a resistance against any form of artisanal mining.
They are mad. They want to deceive us. Never. We prefer our poverty.
Domra is encapsulated by the Tano Offin Forest Reserve, presenting a good climate and arable land for farming. But some illegal miners have recently convinced some farmers to sell their lands for mining.
Illegal mining helps the youth, although it destroys our rivers. We have several rivers, so if just one is left out, there is no problem.
But why ready to sell beton?
I am ready to sell my land. You can give me 4,000 cities considerably.
Claiming to have received the blessings of some unidentified authorities, the miners have started prospecting.
So we have some illegal miners digging within this cocoa farm. Normally it starts like this and spreads like cancer throughout the entire town. The people here are afraid that this will turn into a full-blown illegal mining community, which will affect their means of livelihood.
But Domra residents have vowed to resist any degradation of the environment.
We will continue to suffer with God's protection than to allow him use our land for illegal mining. You want to use my father's cocoa farm for galamsey? You are joking. We won't allow that to happen. We hear of how some places are getting money as a result of illegal mining, but the repercussions are unbearable. We won't accept that at all.
Local leaders Nana Kufia Mwako, Harry Amankwa, Nana Echa Safwa, and the assembly member for the area, Victor Ojramponsa, want the government and local authorities to back their resistance to protect the environment.
Look at what illegal mining has done to Brasso and even Kunsu. People are dying. Our forefathers knew we had gold, but they never used our lands for illegal mining because it doesn't help in development. Our lands and water bodies have been destroyed.
When you allow such galamsey to come to the Domra, I think we are going to encounter security problem. We are going to encounter a lot of people who will be coming here. Those of bad people, those who will be coming around, and we are lacking security aspect.
We have the Tano Offin Forest Reserve GS nearby. Actually, Domra is situated within the forest. So imagine the galamsey is here. By the next 5 years, all the forest will be gone. That is why we, the youth here, we are insisting they should do something about it. I think they have some rivers, very important rivers within that forest. Understand Offin is inside there. Tano is there. And a list of rivers. So that is why we are pleading to the government that they should be very serious about this issue. This is just a developing issue. But then they should make sure something is done about it.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Domra, Ashanti region.
Now, hundreds of Ghanaians have poured onto the streets to register their frustration over the sale of over 60% stake in SSNIT Hotels to Rock City Hotel, owned by the Agric Minister Brian Achampon. Let's cross over live to our correspondent Maxwell Agbagba, who's on the ground engaging protesters. Maxwell, what can you report? Maxwell, I know you're live on the grounds. Where are you right now? Because we know you started at Labadi Beach Resort. Where are you as we speak?
do a live for them. Would you do the live here?
Maxwell Agbagba will get back to him shortly. Little issues are connectivity, but have no fears. We are your #1 news source, and we'll be bringing you that story as soon as we have it. Now, the former President John Agyekum Kufuor has described the youth as ultimate kingmakers, admonishing their full participation in the 2024 election. Now, over 21% of the registered voters failed to turn up for the 2020 general election. The Kufuor Scholars Program, in partnership with the National Commission for Civic Education, has launched a voter campaign aiming at improving youth participation in the upcoming general election. Clinton Yeboah has more in the following report.
Of the country to bring you this particular exercise.
Despite over 17 million Ghanaians of voting age registering to vote in the 2020 elections, only 13 million turned up to vote. This indicates a whopping 3.5 million Ghanaians of voting age failing to vote in the 2020 elections. Concerns of voter apathy, economic hardship, and misgovernance are emerging as reasons these individuals may have failed to vote. The situation has been reviewed to be more critical in the upcoming December 7th elections, as a survey conducted by the Kufuor Scholars on voter interest revealed 43% of every 1,000 Ghanaians plan not to vote. Given the urgency, the Kufuor Scholars Program of the John Agyekum Kufuor Foundation has partnered the National Commission for Civic Education to launch a voter campaign exercise aimed at heightening education and awareness on voting during elections. The former President John Agyekum Kufuor, speaking at the launch and graduation ceremony of the 2023 batch of the Kufuor Scholars, admonished the Ghanaian youth to attend to their civic obligations by ensuring full participation in governance and elections of leaders.
The real sovereign authority of the country is you as the individual. It's us as individuals. You are sovereign. But how do we express our sovereignty? In ancient Greece, everybody went to the forum or marketplace to take part in deciding how the society was governed. Everybody, each and every individual went. Those times, there were city-states with a few people. Now, Ghana alone has about 30 million citizens. With your learning and mature brain power throughout our societies, if you would do what you should do as responsible citizens to try to give the nation good leadership, inclusive leadership, if you do that, then I tell you, within a few years, you'll see Ghana turning around to really become a hub, to be emulated on the continent of Africa to better the lot of humanity. So, you've got it. And I don't think you will be stoppable if you really stick to it and give the right direction.
The Kufuor Scholars Program has seen the graduation of over 200 refined youth to make an impact in the world. The voter campaign aims to utilize seminars, stakeholders and community engagement to sensitize the Ghanaian populace, especially the youth, on their civic electoral duties. The campaign is themed Empowering Future Leaders, Education, Democracy and Civic Engagement. Chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education, Kathleen Addy, believes full participation of youth in elections and governance will entrench Ghana's democracy.
As young people, do not allow yourselves to be used by powerful forces to create problems, chaos, confusion, to take up arms, to go and hurt your neighbor, all in the name of politics. Because there is no great hero coming from anywhere to come and save us. We are the ones we've been waiting for. You need to go out there and vote. At the Commission, and I'm really happy that you've launched this voter education program. Like many other organizations, NCC is happy to work with you through this campaign because, of course, it aligns with our own objective for this year, one of the big objectives, which is to ensure that everybody who can vote does vote, because that is the only way to ensure that we continue to entrench the democracy that we have built.
Reporting for Joy News, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
We can now go live to the streets where hundreds of Ghanaians are protesting the sale of over 60% stake in SSNIT Hotels to Rock City Hotel, owned by the Food and Agriculture Minister Brian Echampo. Maxwell, tell us what's happening as we speak.
Rightly mentioned, hundreds of people have gathered on the streets. They've poured onto the streets of Accra to protest. And what you can see right now, we're currently in the Lands Commission area, the Greater Accra Regional Office of the Lands Commission. not too far from the Elwak Sports Stadium. Soon, they will be arriving at their final destination, which is supposed to be the Jubilee House, but now changed to the Christ the King area, where we're told that government reps will be meeting the protesters to take their petition. But it's been a long walk from the Labadi Beach Hotel, where they converged and started the protest this morning. It has been a long walk. Some of them we've been speaking to tell us that they feel that although it is a long walk, it's a long walk to freedom. They say freedom from what they describe as freedom from cronyism and then state capture. And these words actually capture their sentiments, which they've put on their placards. Some of them read, they are stealing our future. There's another one here, the SSNIT board must be dissolved. I can read this one here, Bremo. We have the men are now Goro boys. New plunder party, referring to the NPP. A lot of placards, many of them we cannot read for you now. But the police, as you can see, has now formed a human wall right on this street, on this intersection that leads to the Ghana International School, very close to the Lands Commission. You can see behind me the police officers also in their route control gear. Now they're trying to put the protesters, trying to ensure order as we inch closer to the Jubilee House. Let's see if we can interact with some of the protesters here. Let's get closer. So, hey, well, what has been happening is the intermittent pouring of libation by the traditional priests of La. And that's what is happening here at this intersection. Give way. Security, take it up. Up it up. Well, the traditional priest of La just finished pouring the libation. Let's speak to him. Let's speak to the North Member of Parliament, Samuel Okutatua Blakwa. Mr. Blakwa, we are now getting closer to the final destination. Are you satisfied with what you see?
Absolutely. Beyond expectation. This has been massive, a mammoth turnout. And Ghanaians are sending a very clear message that they don't support this. They feel very strongly about it. It is offensive. It is immoral. It's unethical. It's reprehensible. We cannot have a situation where ministers of state, assets put under their care, they just grab it for themselves. And the larger message that there ought to be transparency with the management of our pension funds. That message has been sent very clearly, and I want to thank all progressive forces who have joined us today.
Thank you. You just heard from North Member of Parliament. Let's speak to Member of Parliament, Mama Yariga. Mr. Yariga, welcome to join us.
Thank you.
What's your assessment of what you've seen so far? Are you satisfied?
Oh yes. I mean, it's a long walk. We're fighting. We are protecting the pension scheme of this country. We are protecting the welfare of pensioners. We are protecting state assets. And we call on all to join in the fight.
Okay, thank you. You just had Member of Parliament, NDC Member of Parliament, Mahama Ayariga. We have some Ghanaians, many of them who have also joined this protest. Let's see if we can get some of them to speak to us and find out from them why they decided to join this protest. I've seen another placard, Labadi should buy Rock City. That's what this protester here is suggesting. It has been a very long walk, but gradually the demonstrators are inching closer to their final destination. Hi, what's your name?
Yeah, I'm Steven. I'm a member of the regional communication team, Greater Accra.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
And then 10th secretary at GIJ.
Okay. Tell me why you're part of this.
Yes, I'm part of this because I'm convinced that we've gotten to a stage in our country where some people with the power, some people with the authority are trying to, undermine all of us. State institutions. By the time it gets to you and I, we would have no property left. We would have no state properties left. So we need to actually come out in our numbers to support this kind of protest so that our state properties can be safeguarded for the future and even beyond you and I, Maxwell.
So that's why you're taking part in this program?
Absolutely, absolutely, because I've seen the documents, I've followed the interviews, and I believe that it is not proper, it is not right. People in government are always seeking to, use their power. They can come out with all the argument they have, that he deserves it, he deserves to buy all these assets, and that he's a citizen of Ghana. But at least it behoves on them to always set an example, okay? So that's all I'll say.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for talking to us. So the walk would continue all the way to the Christ the King Church area, where the protesters will be presenting their petition. This vehicle is carrying the traditional priest, and he's the one who's been pouring libation intermittently as we walk. He poured a libation first at the Labadi Beach Hotel, then at the La Palm Royal Hotel, then around the Trade Fair area.
Well, in subsequent bulletins, we'll be bringing you that live walk around the country as they're protesting the sale of over 60% stake to Senate, by Senate to Brian Echampo. Now let's do some other stories. We turn our attention to the National Science and Maths Quiz. Aman Aveji is in Takrady. He joins us live with more. Aveji, what's happening?
So we are currently having our second contest for the day. The first contest ended about some 30 minutes ago, and that was won by the Semang Senior High School. Before the contest, they promised that they will be winning that. Last year, they've not been able to qualify to the national stage, and so they were so prepared, ready to grab that slot. And indeed, they have been able to do that. Before the contest, I spoke with one of the schools, Methodist Senior High School, and they told me that they have found the formula to building a Titan that cannot sink, to sail them to the national stage of the NSMQ. They have not qualified to the national stage before. But at the end of the day, that Titanic sank so low to the belly of the ocean, they were able to get only 12 points and ranked the last school in the 4 schools on that table, with Fiasman getting some 50 points to qualify. Currently is a 2-horse race among the 6 schools in the second contest. Domra Senior High School are currently leading from the first round of the contest, followed by Sanko Senior High School, and we are on standby for how that will pan out. At the end of that, we'll have 2 more contests to wrap up with the 2 of the Western Regional qualifier of the NSMQ 2024.
Thank you so much, James Aveji. And we'll be monitoring the situation across the country. We are bringing you live coverage of the National Science and Maths Quiz 2024 edition. My name is Faustina Sapo. Taking a quick breather, we'll be back with business, sports, and entertainment. Do stay tuned in.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the business segment on Joy News today with me, Pius Kojo-Baka. Latest data from the Ghana Statistical Service shows Ghana's economy grew by 4.7% in the first quarter of 2024. This indicates a 1.6% increase compared to the same period in 2023. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kopneni.
The first quarter of 2024, from a GDP oil perspective, the economy in current terms was 266.7 billion Ghana cedis, and from a non-oil perspective, the economy worth was 256 billion Ghana cedis, indicating about a 10 billion Ghana cedis between oil and a non-oil perspective. Between current prices and constant prices, after adjusting for the effect of price changes, the worth of the economy in the first quarter of 2024 was 51 billion Ghana cedis, and from a non-oil perspective, the worth of the economy was 48.4 billion Ghana cedis, indicating about 2.5 billion Ghana cedis, constant terms between oil and non-oil GDP perspective. From a constant perspective, the economy in the first quarter of 2024 grew by 4.7%, And from a non-oil perspective, the economy grew by 4.2% relative to the respective growth rates of 3.1% and 4.4% for the same time period in the first quarter of 2023. This indicates that the worth of the economy has grown by 1.6 percentage points between the first quarter of 2023 relative to the first quarter of 2024. From a basic prices perspective, that is when we've not adjusted for the influence of taxes, subsidies, and transport, the worth of the economy in the first quarter of 2024 was 250.7 billion Ghana cedis from an oil perspective, with the inclusion of net indirect taxes, which was 16 billion Ghana cedis. The worth of the economy from a current prices perspective was 266.7 billion Ghana cedis. The agricultural sector contributes the least to the growth rate in the economy. The services sector contributes the most, with a lead of 45.6%, followed by industry 30.6%, and agriculture 23.8%.
And more on the economy, the disinflation trend is expected to continue, but at a moderated pace, despite the depreciation of the cedi and expected petroleum price hikes. According to GCB Capital, the near-term inflation profile now appears elevated, with the lagged impact of the cedi depreciation, transport fare hike, among others, set to moderate the pace of disinflation in the second half of this year. More in the following reports.
Research by GCB Capital revealed that the continuous disinflation will be driven largely by favorable base drift, which should sustain the decline in year-on-year inflation. It expects the imminent main crop harvest season to boost disinflation from the food basket. Furthermore, it said the imminent completion of the second review of Ghana's program with the International Monetary Fund and the release of catalytic funding should improve the foreign exchange reserve, cushion and trigger a marginal correction, sustaining the disinflation trend. Ghana's consumer price inflation eased again in May 2024, reaching a 26th-month low of 23.1%. This follows another base-included decline in the overall and the food consumer price index year-on-year. GCB Capital said though it expected the decline, the pace was slower than envisaged. This is as a result of the simmering price pressures from the pass-through of the cedi depreciation, transport fare hikes, and seasonal effect on food prices.
That's it for business for now. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Sports is next.
Good afternoon, welcome to Sports here on a Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi and Samatex. They are champions of the Ghana Premier League, and head coach of the team, Abdul Nuruddin Amadou, says that the success is unthinkable. They are already looking forward to representing the country in this year's CAF Champions League.
Coach Nuruddin Amadou and midfielder Emmanuel Keyeke, the win did not come as a surprise, for it's a testament to their hard work and dedication throughout the season.
We have done the unthinkable. That is a dream come true. And it's the feeling or the vision of any good coach or any coach in Ghana, at least, to covet the Ghana Premier League trophy. And this being our first time, our second year in the league, and then as a young club like FC Samatex, we are very grateful to our supporters, our board of directors, everybody. The feeling is just great.
I think it was Midday 4 that we realized we could win it. So even from our onset, before the season started, we reminisced about what we did the previous season. And we realized that if we do something different from what we did the other season, we could win it. But when we started, after Midday 4, we realized, no, if we put in much effort, we could win it. So we came together as a team again, we refocused, and we redetermined ourselves that we could do it. And God being so good, we've achieved it.
The fans did not hide their joy and appreciation to the players and management of the club for what they described as a great honor bestowed on them and their town.
They just came.
The new Premier League season for 2024-2025 will be starting on the weekend of August 16 as Manchester United comes up against Fulham. So these are the fixtures. Manchester United will be hosting Fulham, and on Saturday we'll have Ipswich Town. They are making a return to the Premier League for the first time in about 16 years. They come up against Liverpool. Arsenal will play Wolves. Everton will play Brighton. Newcastle United will play Southampton. Nottingham Forest will play West Ham United will come against Aston Villa. And on Sunday is Brentford, Crystal Palace, Chelsea versus Man City. And Monday night football, we'll see Abdul Fattah Issahaku, Leicester City come up against Tottenham Hotspur. So these are the fixtures for March Day 1 in the English Premier League as the new competition starts on the weekend of August 16. And that's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com.